top of Ben Lomond.
We didn't take video for the past, 4 days.
That's okay. We missed you.
We missed you.
We started a little bit late today. We got out of a really amazing hotel that we'll talk about some other time. And we got started just before noon. And we did a bit of a fast hike. And we got up here a little bit over 2 hours, 4,600 feet of elevation gain.
Less than 5 miles.
It feels great. It's so incredible up here. We're up above Queenstown. And what do you have to say?
I have to say that I am hungry and I think we earned a burger.
We had a burger yesterday to prepare, and we'll probably have another burger. We're trying to find a good burger in this town. We keep having to hike to earn it.
Anyway, just wanted to say hi. We're not going to tell you about the last few days.
No. You'll have to wait.
We're back together.
We made it. We had the same exact flight, but hers was 2 hours ahead of mine, and mine had snacks.
They didn't serve us anything. They're like, I hope you understand, because of coronavirus, we're not going to be serving you anything.
BS. They just didn't like them.
Apparently.
I was the favorite passengers. Anyway, hello, we're back. Hello from Auckland International Airport.
Yeah. So I chatted away while I was in the tree earlier, and I was at the point where we had done the Ben Lomond hike. Life. Right now we're at 6 miles, 6.2 miles, 2 hours and 45 minutes, and we've gained 4,624 feet. We're thinking about going down there to this little footpath and going up on that ridge, so we'll see how that goes. The Airbnb that we actually checked into was a little bit north of Queenstown. We wanted to stay kind of out of the expensive area, and we were pretty exhausted after that long hike, so we were looking for something really good to eat. And we found the Meat Preachers,
which was rated 4.7 on Google. How could we go wrong? We couldn't go wrong. We walk in there, it smells amazing. They have wood fire grill going, and they're lovingly roasting meat over the wood fire, and it was the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we had a whole roasted chicken, not rotisserie, a whole wood-fired chicken, and we had some potatoes and some kind of couscous salad and
beer.
Oh, beer.
It seems to be a theme.
And there was also this really great chimichurri that they provided on the side that you could dip your chicken in. It was so good.
They knocked it out of the park. It was one of the best meals we got out during the trip, I think.
We ate everything in sight.
Yeah. We had been hiking really hard for about 4 hours.
Yeah. We had to get up early the next day because we had a jet boat ride in the town.
Strangely, it was not difficult to get me up on that particular morning.
Yeah, so we went back into Queenstown. We checked out of our Airbnb for the night. We went back into Queenstown for the jet boat ride, which was an hour with Go Orange.
In case you're wondering, it had 2 Chevy V8s with a total of 840 horsepower. And we maxed out at 45 knots.
It got a little bumpy out there because it was pretty windy that day, and it got really cold, you know, obviously with the wind blowing on us, and it was kind of chilly that morning, so but we were enjoying it. We prepared better than everyone else on the boat. Everyone was like wearing a hoodie and like no gloves and no earmuffs or anything. So we really decked out with
yeah,
gear.
It was pretty vicious, especially when we're going upwind and we're going 45 knots and there's probably a 20-25 knot headwind. It was whipping. Like, we were happy to have good gear on that trip.
And they did what was called Hamilton spin multiple times.
Oh, like 40 times. People never got tired of that.
It was really fun. So they basically just take the boat, they go really fast, and then they whip it around and they spin it 100 or 360 degrees. So it was really cool. And they took us upriver. I forgot the name of the river.
Shotover River.
It was Shotover River? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Wakatipu.
yeah, so Lake Wakatipu, and then we went into the river for a bit, and then dropped off some people who were doing a whitewater rafting trip, and then came back up the river.
We're not disappointed.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Fun.
So once we got done with that, we knew we needed to get into Teanu by the next day because we were doing a kayak trip. We started heading towards Teanu, so we drove about 2.5 hours to get to Teanu. Is that right?
Something like that.
So once we got there, we were hungry, so we stopped at this place called the Fat Duck, and we got, of course, a duck salad.
Really good.
It was really, really good.
Not big enough, but delicious.
We wished it had been like twice as big, but it was awesome. And so we took advantage of their Wi-Fi. We were searching for things. We were able to find one for 3 nights in Teanu because we knew we were going to be doing kayaking the next day, and then we had planned to do the Kepler track, which was just right nearby Teanu. The kayak trip was a little bit further south in Manipuri, which is about a 20-minute drive. So we were like, yeah, let's stay there for the 3 nights. We can kind of use that as our home base and have a kitchen. And the host was great. She had a really great setup for us. I mean, way more rooms than we needed in that place, but it had a nice kitchen. We were able to use it to its full potential. So yeah, she took us last minute too, because it was probably close to
15 minutes.
4 o'clock or something. Yeah. And it was way past the check-in time, but we're like, hey, we need a place for the next few nights. Are you able to take us? She was like, yeah, just come on by. And we actually caught her right as she was leaving, because we went right over and within 10 minutes, and she was making sure the place was ready for us. But yeah, really awesome. I've had really good luck with Airbnb on this trip. It's been awesome. So yeah, then we kind of relaxed, got settled in. We went shopping. We walked into town and got some groceries and made some chicken satay stir fry for dinner with their wok. And then got up super early the next morning.
About 5 o'clock? Something?
Yeah, something like 5.
Yeah.
To head straight to Manipuri, where we were to go on our kayaking adventure. Why don't you talk about that?
So we decided to do a day trip with a guide with Go Orange Again, who we did the jet boat with. And so they picked us up on a ferry boat at about 7 a.m. We departed, maybe 7:15, and we went across Lake Manipuri. That's right. And then we got to the
Powerhouse.
Manipuri power station, which is apparently the biggest power station in New Zealand. Apparently they dug like tunnels like 175 meters down, so the water drops a huge distance into the turbines, and then they dug a 10-kilometer tunnel to Doubtful Sound to drain it. They do about 800 megawatts or something like that. So it's pretty crazy big power station there. And then so we picked up a coach, and he drives over the gravel access road that was used for the dam construction over to Doubtful Sound, which is incredible. There's waterfalls spouting out everywhere.
Oh, yeah. It was amazing. And we got a history lesson on the way from the driver of the bus. He actually had a headset on and was talking to us the whole time and telling us about the history of the Fiordland National Park and about all of the animals that were brought in and all the different ways that they've tried to cull some of those animals because they are overrunning the area and kind of killing, you know, natural habitats and natural species that live here. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to learn about the follies of, you know, previous settlers in the area and kind of how the government is taking over and controlling some of these things. And on the way in, we got to see the beautiful Doubtful Sound.
Before we got to the kayaks, right when we got off the bus, they say, we have some bad news for you. There's some bad weather coming and you won't be able to go kayaking, but we'll take you out on a boat ride. And we're like, oh man, like we wanted to go kayaking. That was the whole tour for us. So we were a bit disappointed, but
and then he came back a few minutes later and said,
yeah,
he was like, well, we can take you out for part of the morning,
right,
and then we'll bring you to the afternoon cruise and you can do that. And so we were like, okay, well, at least we get some kayaking, even if it's not the full time we paid for, and we get the cruise. But
and
then
about this time, and they had mentioned that the weather there could be really bad, like 30, 40, 50 knots.
It's
gusty,
very hard to predict out there.
And it could be blowing us out away from the beach where we started, so we could have difficulty getting back. So they wanted to avoid us having a bad day trying to struggle back to the beach.
But it turned out to be perfect.
It's perfect, yeah, no bad
weather. The
weather
held off. It was very calm actually in the Sound. We didn't go as far as we probably would have if they weren't nervous about the weather, but it was still really enjoyable, really peaceful. We kind of wanted to go a little harder with the kayaks, but the folks that were with us were not as up to the challenge, so they were kind of piddling around. But yeah, we got to see dolphins come out there.
Bottlenose dolphins.
Yeah, there's a pod of bottlenose dolphins that live in the Sound.
About almost 60 of them. Those are big ones.
Wow! Oh, it's so nice. I wonder what they're doing in here.
Getting some food.
So these guys will probably play around us for a bit. Come back and they'll have a wee gaze. You hear of bottlenose dolphins? There's a pot of 60 that live in Doubtful Sound, so they never leave. They're always kind of in different numbers. It is quite rare to see them. That sounds quite a large area. So these guys are just playing around, that's why they're being pretty friendly.
And we learned a bit about the Sound and how it, how it was discovered, and about some Maori myths about, or legends about the Sound and stories about that. It was really fun. We had a great time.
We learned about one super cool thing called a tree avalanche, which I've never heard of before, which is where over hundreds of years, moss and soil builds up on the sheer rock faces, and then if there's a river or a windstorm or something that kicks up, the trees that grew into the moss and just spread their their roots in with no real hold on anything solid could all start to tear off. And it's like a domino effect. The whole hillside will tear off and fall into the ocean.
Into the sound.
Yeah, into the sound. And then apparently fish actually eat them. So you could get these kind of scars on the hillside from tree avalanches, which I thought was amazing because I'd never heard of any such thing before.
Yeah. So after we finished that, we had a really nice time. We went back, we had our lunch before we got back on the bus to head back over the pass and then take the boat back over the lake Manipuri. It's quite a journey to get out there and then get back. It took a long time. So yeah, it was evening time. By the time we got done, it was late afternoon.
We got back to the Airbnb about 4, I think.
Yeah, so late afternoon. We got back to our Airbnb. We were like, let's have a beer, let's relax.
Make some food. We had steaks for dinner.
Yeah, we had steaks and mashed potatoes and broccoli.
I think so.
Yeah, we did. And then we watched like a marathon of Altered Carbon. We finished the season and we watched one more. So we were like just really relaxing the rest of that day. And then the next morning we got up late because we were like, we can sleep in. We don't have anything planned today. That was supposed to be our day to get ready for
The
Kepler track. So we were just kind of chilling, getting our stuff together. We were like, let's pack all of our backpack stuff now, and then we can go and do whatever this afternoon. We left afternoon sometime to go check out Teanu.
We saw the bird sanctuary.
Yeah, we walked around the lake. It was a bit blustery that day. We got to the bird sanctuary, got to check out some of the rare birds that they're
sheltering the injured
for
birds.
Rehabilitation of the birds. Really cool, nice to see, and it was free. I mean, they asked for donations, but everything was free. Then when we were heading back, we stopped and got a couple more things at the grocery store. We got home, and that's when the news hit that the DOC basically was shutting down all the great walks, all of the bookable huts and campsites, and we discovered that they were starting that as of the next day, which was the day we were supposed to start our hike.
So it was devastating to me. We'd already planned everything, and this was like a big event of the trip.
Yeah.
But we realized we had been really lucky so far. We hadn't been affected by the coronavirus at all on our trip, except for good things, where it was quieter than usual. And so, after some initial disappointment, we realized, let's just roll with the punches here and do our best.
Yep.
So instead of going out on the trail the next morning, we went back to Queenstown to
see if we can get home.
Yeah, because our flights had been partially canceled as well.
Yeah, so that was more news to follow. So then that night we just made the best of it. We kind of, we drank several cocktails. We made some dark and stormies and some orange juice and rum cocktails, and kind of tried to get our minds off of it a little bit. We made dinner, like a sausage and egg salad, which was awesome. And and then the next morning we got up and had breakfast and then took off to Queenstown directly, checked out of our Airbnb and went to Queenstown. We had no plans of where to stay at that point. We just went to Queenstown to the airport directly to see if we could get our flights changed. And we were flying with Fiji Airways, and Queenstown itself does not have a Fiji Airways desk, and we didn't know that at the time, but we went there to see if we could get our flights fixed because we had called them, and we had issues with the phone numbers being in a different country, and we couldn't figure out how to get them to call us back, and we couldn't wait on hold. They were just enormous wait times. It was like 2 or 3 hours sometimes for some people. So anyway, we got to the airport and we found out they had closed the airports to anyone who's not flying that day. And so we were like, oh, okay, shit is hitting the fan. Things are happening. that we weren't aware of. So we tried to make a call on the airport phone, but then we were like, you know what? I have to use the bathroom. There's no bathroom outside the airport. We need to find a safer, like more comfortable place that we can just sit and call and figure this out. We drove around a bit, I think, and we couldn't figure out where to find a phone. So we went back to the rental car place. So I was like, well, you know, you're a customer of theirs. Maybe they'll let you use their phone. So that's what we did. They let us use the phone, which is really nice. We called Fiji Airways, and they basically said they posted on their website the available flights, which were the previous day and the day we were calling to get out of New Zealand with their airlines. Otherwise, they couldn't help us. So that was pretty shocking thing to hear, and we were just like, okay, what do we do now? So we're like, well, we got to book new flights because that's the only way we're going to get out of here, and otherwise we're going to have to be sheltered in place for 4 weeks, according to the New Zealand government. They were implementing a shelter in place level 4,
which is pretty
on
severe. It basically means
on the 25th.
Yeah.
On the 25th.
It means don't go out of your home. Don't even go on the road unless you're getting food, and don't move domiciles. Like, just stay where you are.
And no restaurants are open. Only essential things. Grocery stores stay open. Essential transport, you know, essential like emergency services, that sort of thing. All those are still open, but yeah, we
Liquor
realized
stores are closed. You're only allowed to get beer and wine over
at the grocery store.
Is this an essential service?
Yeah, so we realized really quickly that, okay, this is a serious thing. We need to get out of here. Otherwise, we're gonna be stuck in an Airbnb. It won't even be fun. We'll just be stuck somewhere. So we're like, okay, let's see if we can get flights. So that we went to the Starbucks in Queenstown. We sat in the Starbucks for a long time looking for flights. We actually found flights that were leaving on the 26th, which is today. And it took us forever to get the payments processed for those things. I think both of us had rejections with our credit cards.
And we also went through a website called Go to Gate, which was the only website that had a halfway reasonable flight. Like, we're still talking about $700 to $800 for the flight, but all the other ones were thousands for a one-way flight back to San Francisco. So we were kind of stuck with this company, and their website was crashing and giving errors and rejecting our credit card payments.
Yeah,
and
so
then once we finally got it through.
Yeah, I eventually got my flights booked, and then when we were trying to get his booked, it just kept failing, and we were just like, oh no.
We got one ticket out of here, not for both of us.
Yeah, but we figured it out. We finally got it through, and we ended up having to take 2 different flights leaving Queenstown to go to Auckland, but then we were on the same flight from Auckland to San Francisco. So we're like, that's fine. Like, whatever it takes, that's fine. So we made that work, and then we were like, okay, let's go eat.
We think that they might have been reserving spare seats on the airplane to keep people away from each other, because I don't know about your flight, but mine was like halfway empty. And so, but those flights were not available to book after, like, immediately after we had booked them.
Yeah, I think they were definitely trying to keep the meter distance between people. So yeah, there was no one sitting next to me on the plane. Everybody was doing really well, following the rules and keeping distance. And, you know, it seems like everyone's slightly on edge, just making sure they're not doing anything that's going to cause.
You're always looking around you, like, wondering who's infected. Is it you? Is it you?
I'm not personally worried about that.
We're both infected.
Shut up. People are staring at you. Yeah, so after we booked our new flights, we went to eat at a place called Fogo, which was literally the only restaurant we saw open at the time in Queenstown, and it was the Brazilian steakhouse place.
That's awesome.
We saw a sign outside that said, lunch all day, $15. And that is really cheap for that
it's about
area.
$8.50 US.
Yeah. For that area, that's a good price.
Normally it's like 25, 30 for even like a medium price restaurant.
So I was a little bit skeptical. I walked up the stairs to the place and I was like, "Are you guys?" And she finished my sentence by saying, "Yes, we are open," because I'm sure a bunch of people had been asking, "Are you open?" But I was meaning to ask, "Are you actually serving lunch for $15 all day?" And she's like, "Yeah," because it was at that point it was probably 3 or 4. So we had lunch there. It was great. He got a steak. I got lamb. Everything was great. And then we left, and it was pouring rain. And we're like, "Crap, we got to go to the car." But then I was like, "Well, we also need a place to stay," because we had talked about potentially camping that night somewhere nearby that was free, so that we could save a little money. But
and then going backpacking
and then
the next day.
Potentially going backpacking the next day. But then when we walked outside, it was really cold, really rainy. We're like, "I don't think this is gonna work. I think it's gonna snow tonight. Like,
Yeah.
I think we need to figure out a place to stay that's
Indoors.
warm."
Yeah.
So we actually went with Airbnb again. We got a place in Lower Shotover that was
Super nice.
super nice.
Like a little mini apartment.
Yeah, it was like a mother-in-law unit type attached to the house. It was basically butted up against a hill, so it was very private and quiet. Nice natural light, great kitchen. We had to go get groceries again, so we went and got groceries before we got to the Airbnb. Then the next day, we woke up, had breakfast, and we were like, "We need to do a hike," of course, because what else are you gonna do? So we went to a place called
Sawpit Gully.
But it was in
Arrowtown.
Arrowtown.
The old Chinese settlement.
At the old
so
Chinese, yeah.
This is kind of a town
Mining
with former
area.
gold panning background.
Yeah.
And so the part of the trail we did was actually an old road that had been built, I think, in the late 1800s
Yeah.
to allow access to the mining area.
Yeah, so it was really cool. We saw like these huge ass irrigation pipes that ran like pretty much all along the whole hike through these mountains, and we're like, dang, they really put a lot of infrastructure here for this irrigation system. But the hike was gorgeous. We were so impressed with it. You know, at first it didn't seem like it was going to be much, but then we got up there and it was just stunning views. So yeah, we enjoyed that a lot, and there was hardly anyone on trail. We passed, 3 people?
Yeah.
Or, well, we got closer to the bottom and there's a few families, but
Mostly people who lived in town, we think. Like,
Yeah.
not too many foreigners, maybe one couple.
yeah, and the reason why we knew about this hike was because there was a pamphlet that showed hikes in the area at our Airbnb that most of them were not listed on like Google or any other search sites. They were just in this pamphlet. So we're like, we scored on this because we were able to find a couple hikes that we wouldn't have known about otherwise. And then after we finished that hike, we came home and kind of relaxed. We made a seafood stew.
It's wonderful.
Which
Sort
is-
of like Portuguese inspired,
Yeah.
with tomato base and mixed seafood with calamari and mussels and fish.
It's probably my favorite
It's
dish
really
we've
good.
we've cooked
Yeah.
the whole trip. So we had a little bit left over after that, and had some dessert, watched a little TV, read a little bit that evening, and then went to bed. Then the next day was yesterday. It was our last day, and we had to check out of the Airbnb, and we were going to check into our next one.
I wanted to do one last good hike. And so I found a nice mountain called Mount Rosa,
Yeah.
which was maybe 25,
Also in that pamphlet,
30 minutes, yeah, outside of Queenstown.
towards the wine country area.
Yeah, and we weren't sure because we had seen the day before there was some snow falling on the mountains, and it looked pretty cold up there, and this was a pretty long hike, so we weren't sure if we wanted to be out in that weather, but it looked it warmed up a little bit that day, so we said, let's go for it. And I dragged Kayce up there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a little less motivated when we're first starting out, and it's also pretty painful and uncomfortable when we first start out because your muscles haven't warmed up yet. You're kind of building a lot of lactic acid, and it's just
And these
not
these
fun.
hikes are like straight up
They're
the mountain.
straight up.
So
and
like
when you don't stretch really well beforehand,
feet
it's just
per
really
mile or something.
painful. So yeah.
But it was, every time we turned around and looked back at the view, it was getting better and better. And so we ended up going all the way up, and it was just a spectacular view. You could see a bunch of snow-capped mountains in the distance and a nice valley with some wineries and stuff.
Yeah, gorgeous view.
It was worth it,
It
for
was
sure.
a great last hike for the trip. And then we went to our next Airbnb location, which was also in Lower Shotover, really close to the airport, up a hill. We had a nice mountain view from where we sat, which was beautiful. It was in kind of like a basement area of this beautiful house. And the hosts were really nice, especially the Sharn, who's the
lady of the house.
the lady of the house. But she helped us out by booking a taxi for us, because we discovered while we were out in Arrowtown the day before that we were going to have to drop off our rental car on the 25th by 5 p.m. Otherwise, we'd have to pay for 4 weeks of rental car, because
we don't know about that.
everything
Basically,
was
their
shutting
policy
down.
was that they would not be there, and we couldn't do a late drop off because they would never know if the car was returned within the next month.
Yeah.
And we were kind of cranky about it because we had paid through the next morning, but they, let us know that everyone was kind of sacrificing for this, and that a lot of people would be losing their jobs in the rental agency, and like if we could cooperate, it would be helpful. So we said, okay, we'll make it work.
Yeah. So we ended up having to. He actually took the car. So we got back from the hike of Mount Rosa. He took the car to the rental car facility after getting some gas to go rentals by the airport. Luckily, we were only a few kilometers away from the airport, so David, being the exercise guy that he is, he likes to push himself, so he was like, I'll just run back.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 miles, no big deal.
Yeah, so after that long hike we did, he decided to go run. So yeah, he took off, and within 45 minutes he was back. I was like, oh, that was really fast. So yeah, we just relaxed our last night. We made some wraps for dinner. We had some leftover stew. And I was getting a little nervous because we were trying to look at our flights and check in, and Air New Zealand didn't seem to have our booking reference number, and we were kind of unsure about whether the flights were really happening. And
it had been so hard to book on the Go to Gate website that we thought it perhaps had not completed the booking somehow.
Right, they sent us confirmation emails, but that was it, and they didn't send us any further follow-up emails about our flights or anything about checking in, and so we were just a little nervous to make sure that this was legit and it was actually happening. But we decided, you know what, if it happens, it happens. If not, there's nothing we can do about it right now, so let's go to bed. We'll go to the airport in the morning. Sharon helped us get the taxi for the following morning. We had a pretty fitful sleep. My phone wasn't on night mode, so we could hear it vibrating. And
at 5 in the morning.
At 5 in the morning. And I actually got a call from like Subaru in the morning and woke David up, and he couldn't go back to sleep.
I was a little cranky.
He was very cranky. And then I got a text from my boss about being nervous about us coming home because Secretary of State was closing the borders, or all country to country travel is being banned. And so he was like, we're worried you're going to have financial impact from this. And so I started texting him to let him know, hey, our flights are today. We should be getting on them, hopefully. But then he gave me a call, and it was like 6:20 in the morning, and David was still trying to sleep, and I was talking with Damien on the phone. It was kind of hard for him. But he gave me some good information just in case I needed it, because if we ended up getting through to Auckland but not being able to go back home, he was helping me with U.S. consulate phone numbers, and giving me some advice on potentially getting a U.S. chartered flight to get back home. So like all these things. So we were chatting for a bit, and then David and I decided to get up and get ready. I calmed him down.
She can do that by feeding me. It usually helps.
And coffee. So we had some coffee and breakfast, got showered, got all of our stuff together. The taxi arrived very promptly, like within, 5 minutes early, I think. We got to the airport and everything was okay. We got through, except our luggage.
They wanted to charge us 250 New Zealand dollars
for each bag that we
each
had.
check bag over one check bag. And they also only allowed tiny check carry-on bags, unlike normal when you might have a small suitcase.
Right.
And so we kind of were pissed off because we'd already
spent
a lot of money.
Thousands of dollars to fix
fix other airline screw-ups.
And
but we ended up kind of lucking out in that our 2 duffel bags with clothing were just the right weight.
Just under the weight
that we could combine them. We only had to pay 1 ridiculously expensive check bag, excess check bag, so it was better than nothing. And we got to keep all the goodies that we're bringing back to you guys.
Yeah.
We
don't know who you guys are.
I know, it could be us that we're talking to.
Yeah.
But talking to you. So yeah, and so we're here, and our flight leaves in 1 hour from Auckland.
On the dot.
The weather is beautiful here, and
I waited outside for a long time.
Can't stay longer because it's much warmer and more sunny than the South Island.
Yeah, South Island is like super cold and rainy now, so it's not fun. But yeah, Auckland is gorgeous. So here we are. We're about to board our flight. We're about to go home.
And we're hungry, and the reason I've been glancing up over there is because there's a giant video screen of food, and I'm so hungry. There's cake and coffee, juice, and salad, and we haven't eaten anything other than like snacks since breakfast this morning at 8 a.m. or 7.
Yeah.
8.
Got up at 7.
Yeah.
Technically, we got up at 6:20, but
I got up at 5:20.
Anyway,
it's been fun.
That's it. That's been our trip. And I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what that is. What?
It's the horns.
Okay.
This
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Yeah, that's what it means. Totes. Totes my goats.
All right.
Bye.
Hopefully see you soon. We got lots of food to eat. This one's got big horns. Hi. Oh, look at the baby. My goodness. There's another one down here. And then there was a black one somewhere. I don't know where it went. There's another one down there. They're everywhere. Oh yeah. Super cute. Do you hear them bleeding?
That's how in your stomach.
Well, it could have been. I am hungry. Oh, so cute. Oh, that one's got a beard.
It's a Billy.
Little billy goats.
It
It reminds me of the was it a Grimm's fairy tale that had billy goats?
The 3 goats.
The 3 goats.
This one's a baby too.
Oh, so cute. Little baby.
The cat and the goat will be friends.
Hi, baby. Oh. They're pretty desensitized to people.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think there's too much to worry about here.
Yeah, but it's so cool. I've never seen like wild goats out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
So cool.
get down there and kill yourself.
The natives are restless.